What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, man. So I just saw something, right? Okay. I just saw some information that should alarm Trump supporters. I know I have Kamala Harris supporters, I have some Trump supporters, and I have people who are planning on voting third party or not voting at all. And I want to say something too. Sometimes I don't understand what some people want, right? One of the criticisms that we all give some of these channels on YouTube is that they are partisan. They try not to be fair, right? They either are all the way pro Kamala or all the way pro Trump. They got their right to do that, but I think what's more important, at least for me, is to try to be fair, okay? And to try to do videos that are balanced. Like if I do videos that are critical of Trump, yeah, I will consciously try to do some that will be more critical of Kamala. Like I'm doing a video later on that's going to be probably perceived as anti-Kamala. But these are still my opinions. But let me get to the point. But sometimes I get people saying, "Oh, you just trying to cater to both sides." What do you want from me, man? Do you want me if I try to be, even though I'm not for any one of these particular candidates, if I were trying to just get all Kamala supporters, I would just be shitting on Trump all the time. If I was trying to get Trump supporters, which, believe you me, with the growing market of black men who are Trump supporters, that could be rather profitable. But that's not my aim. I'm trying to be fair because that's what I want to do. I'd rather be accurate and try to be fair than to try to push some agenda. But even with that, people are still finding me, oh, you're having an agenda. But anyway, to the Trump supporters out there, because I notice you guys are very sensitive to me being critical of Trump. It's not coming from a place of hate. It's coming from a place of reality. Right now, Donald Trump is in a critical juncture right now. I suspect, I know what's going on with him, but according to reports, his aides and subordinates, they're pissed off at him right now because, for the most part, ever since last month, since the incident, he's been off kilter and he's been laying low. Basically, with the exception of some campaign events, he's been basically playing golf in Florida and basically has been in Mar-a-Lago. You know, he's not really doing much of anything. I mean, he has had some events, but remind you, the incident, the shooting, was going on, what, 6 weeks ago? Ever since then, he's only had maybe 4 campaign events. J.D. Vance reportedly is irritated at him because J.D. Vance is out there on the stump more, campaigning for the Trump Vance ticket, and Trump's not really doing much. We have other subordinates on TV and all of that, doing their typical DEI hire, Kamala ain't black, all this stuff. Look, yeah, that all those things are true, and I agree with them. But that's not an effective way to win. I've talked about that before. And I do applaud J.D. Vance on one thing. He's gotten back on message, and he's starting to hammer her on the immigration issue, the border issue. That's a winning issue. Attack her on that. Attach her ass to the Biden administration, which is still a very unpopular administration. No matter how much the Democrats and the left-wing media want to erase all of that, right? But this is the point I want to make. I do talk about how polling matters, but it's not a perfect science. Polls can be accurate if you look at all of them all together and try to come up with a general consensus of what they're saying. Polling can mean a lot, but what I'm seeing that should scare the hell out of Trump supporters, not the pollers, it's the involvement via money and the mobilization effort of the Kamala Harris campaign, in particular in swing states. Trump has to get up. I know whatever the case may be, I'm thinking he's probably a little scared. He's not going to admit it, but the shooting, I think as a friend of mine just pointed out, he's spooked out. I think he's suffering from some sort of post-traumatic stress from that situation. I know people say that the shooting was staged. It wasn't. Okay? Nobody's going to stand there and let somebody shoot at them to the point where the bullet passes right by their ear. Come on, man. It wasn't staged. And as I said before, had he not moved his head at that moment, he wouldn't be here anymore. They would have had to pick the replacement candidate, the Republican. But anyway, I think that he's spooked, man, and he's scared. He's scared to get out there because, you know what I'm saying, once something like that happens to you, you start having fears. You start having fears of being in a large crowd, and I think he's scared. That's why he's doing indoor events now. That's why he's, kind of hovering around home. But the thing is, running for the presidency is not easy. The job of the president is hard, but the hardest marathon is the campaign. It takes a lot of energy to campaign. And I think part of the other thing is that he's 78 years old. He's not 74, and he's not 70 anymore, 69, 70, as he was before. In 2016. That might not sound like a lot, but between 70 and 78, that's a big difference at that stage in your life. And at this point, Kamala has, her campaign right now has 400,000 workers. They have 400,000 people, foot soldiers, in the state of Georgia right now trying to register voters and mobilize them to vote, in particular in southern Georgia. 400,000. I thought the Obama campaigns were the most well-organized, most mobilized, large organization of get out the vote volunteers and structures I've ever seen. This is exceeding it. And I'm not saying that as a supporter of Kamala Harris, I'm just stating facts. Because I've also read, that in Pennsylvania, they have a massive mobilization effort on their way right now. Trump has to get up out of his home, starting after this speech, after this debate. You got to get your ass up out there, and in the Republican Party, whatever the case may be, they have to mobilize the donors. If you're a Trump supporter, if you really a Trump supporter, open up your goddamn wallet and put your mouth where your money is, or put your money where your mouth is, I should say. Don't just talk. Contribute, because during the DNC alone, Kamala Harris's campaign raised $82 million. Okay? They hate this man, and they're doing everything they can to get him defeated in November. So if you're a Trump supporter, if you really are, donate some money to his campaign. I'm not saying I'm a Trump supporter, but what I'm saying is they need financial help, because what they're doing right now with Kamala Harris campaign, I've never seen before. I've never seen this before. Now, in my personal opinion, I don't think she's fit for the presidency. I've said that time and time again. But what I think doesn't matter. What matters is what's going on right now. And that is that the Democrats are doing everything they can to get their voters out there to vote and persuading people to vote. And in particular, they're trying to get young people out there, and they're trying to get people who normally are not involved in the electoral process. And they're also making this about race. They are trying their best to turn a person who was, for a long time, identified as an Asian American or Indian American. Now all of a sudden she's a black woman. And they're trying to browbeat black people into voting for her on racial identity politics. And from what I could see, it's starting to work. It's starting to work. Remember, some of the polling had Biden losing almost up to 30% of the black vote. Kamala's now over, according to polling, over 80%. So it's already starting to work. Biden got what, 87% of the black vote? So even if she only gets 81% of the black vote, that could be offset if there's a historic black turnout. So that, yeah, let's say Trump gets 16% of the black vote. If the number of black people that comes out is a historic aggregate total, that's going to offset the percentage. Let alone the fact that the Republicans keep talking about, when I say Republicans, I'm not talking about Trump. I'm talking about these ignorant ass, stupid subordinates, antagonizing women like J.D. Vance, talking about repealing abortion, even though they can't do that. I'm talking about subordinate Trump supporters who are fervently anti-abortion and talking about trying to pack the courts to further restrict women from being able to have the right choice of abortion, of their right. You're antagonizing women doing that. They don't care because they rather lose an election than be wrong. Or how can I say this? They would rather push their message and lose than play it safe and win. That's how they are. So if you're going to win, get back on message, attack Kamala, attach her to the Biden administration, get your supporters to the polls, and his campaign needs money. They need money to compete with what Kamala is here to do. Hell, Kamala's campaign was running commercials during the Olympics. Olympics, man. Remember, Biden wouldn't even do a softball interview during the Super Bowl. Trump wasn't ready for this. And I think it's caught him off guard, and I think he has doubts. So, if you're a Kamala Harris supporter, you love what's going on right now. Keep it coming. If you're a Trump supporter, you may not like what I'm saying, but we can't keep living in la-la land. Oh, these polls are wrong. I don't see her winning. You can keep saying it, and you will see his ass lose on November 5th or whatever. I think election day. I think it's the 5th. The way things are going, yeah, this is still a tight race. It most certainly is still a tight race, and Trump can still very well win. But with the trends that are going on right now, put it like this: 400,000 volunteers in Georgia. That's approximately 80% of the population of Atlanta. And that's basically a volunteer for one in every six registered Democratic voters in Georgia. Remember, in 2020, the Biden campaign, largely hobbled by the COVID crisis, they didn't really start their mobilization effort in Georgia until about 3 weeks before the election, in October. They're starting now. So that's why I'm talking like this. I'm not looking at the polls. I'm looking at what I know gets voters to the polls. Mobilization efforts. Getting out the vote efforts. Sitting on your goddamn porch a la William McKinley, like this 1896, that shit don't work. It's not enough. Also, even though the Democratic Party is really not united, we've seen that at the DNC. The establishment is united behind Kamala. Now, there's one way that she's going to lose if people don't come out and vote for her. But they're trying to offset that by getting unlikely voters to the polls, who are people who, you know what I'm saying, people who feel like the system doesn't really work for them, people who aren't really inspired. Um, you can even argue people who were thinking about voting for RFK, but now they don't really feel like they're going to vote, but they hate Trump. It could be all these different voters who weren't going to vote, who, that's why I say it's very stupid to play identity politics by saying, insinuating that because quote unquote Kamala is black, she's not qualified to be president, even though we know she's not black. You know what I'm trying to do that. That's antagonizing black people, antagonizing women when you do that. So then, if they were thinking about voting for Trump, they're going to say, screw you. I'm going to vote for Kamala because now you're being racist, now you're being misogynistic. So anyway, I know this was a long, drawn-out video. When you do these type of videos, you got to explain yourself in detail because people hear what they want to hear. Anyway, that's all I got to say in this one, man. Come to you guys soon.